So we're back talking about Doom: The Dark Ages. There's a bit more info that I found. First, let's talk about the timeline of the story. We can see it's mostly around the medieval era. During an interview with IGN, Hugo Martin confirms that the story is taken from the codex of other Doom games. Looking back at the Slayer's testaments in Doom 2016, the first one says this: "In the first age, in the first battle, when the shadows first lengthened, one stood." That's the story we are playing, according to what Hugo said. It's the part in the story when the Doom Slayer would train and fight alongside the Sentinel warriors. It was a time they were at war with the demons from hell. The game still has guns, but they're a bit more primitive when compared to the other Doom games. During the interview at IGN, they asked Hugo about the glory kills, which were a fun mechanic in Doom 2016 and was then improved upon in Doom Eternal. He was asked about how many glory kill animations are in this game, but he went on to talk about the melee system and saying it's a new dynamic and it lets you approach the battle however you want. He says it's meant to give you a lot more freedom in how you finish off the enemies. I'm not sure if that means the animations for enemies will be based upon the weapons you use, because he does not really answer the question of how many glory kills are in the game, but he also says he does not want to give away too much information right now, which I can understand. I was also wondering about the possible ending of the Dark Ages. Since it's based off the codex and lore that was explained in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, there's a possibility that we might know the ending to the game already. That is, if they follow the story as it was already told in other games. So what happens during this time? Well, in Doom Eternal, the history of the Sentinels has a section about this. A group of Sentinels discovered the Khanmaker's secret pact with Hell. The Doom Slayer, along with a group of Sentinel warriors, would go through a portal to Necrovol, the city of the dead, to launch one final attack. They were basically trying to cut the flow of essence that came from tortured innocent souls. This essence was combined with Wraith energy to create Argent energy, which the Khanmaker was using to stay alive much longer than normal. So she made a deal with the Dark Lord in Hell. It's a long story which I covered in other videos. So anyways, when the Sentinels and the Doomslayer went through the portal, the priests who had assisted them all this time made a plan to betray them. The three priests in the story had aligned with the Khanmaker and cut their ties with the Sentinel people. The reason the priests did this was for the promise of wealth, power, and everlasting life. Argent energy is what the Khanmaker uses to stay alive longer, but this requires the merging of Wraith energy and the souls of tortured beings, like Sentinels or humans on Earth, which is why the priests are overlooking the invasion of Earth by the demons of Hell. Upon entry through the Hell portal, the Night Sentinels were scattered to the winds of unplanned chaos. They were all separated and left to fight against hordes of demons. Some warriors appeared near the gates of which they walked through, only to find out the priests had closed the way back. They were trapped, each one left alone to fend for themselves. But they did not know it was not only the priests who betrayed them, but one of their own, a sentinel known as Commander Valen. He was plagued with demonic visions of his son's tortured existence, so he gave them the keys to the elemental sepulchre, which just means he led them to where the bodies of the wraiths were being kept, which was a source of unlimited power. Valen would then ask for the resurrection of his son, but he too was betrayed. The soul of his son was used to resurrect the icon of sin. After this, Valen would then flee to Hell and remain there by choice. So let's go back to the Sentinels that were betrayed by the priests. They fought as long as they could, even using their Atlans, but when they had no more fuel, the Sentinels took to the ground and fought the swarms on land. All of Hell knew of this betrayal, for it was the Makers and the priests who had sowed the seeds of deceit long before the brave warriors passed through the gate. The bodies of Lord Sash, Roan the Mighty, and Gore were later found, lifeless, but they fought until the very end. So here's the part that might give us the ending to the Dark Ages, which is explained in Doom 2016 of the Slayer's Testaments. The Doom Slayer would continue to fight the demons and hell, but the demon priests had set a trap to capture him. He was lured to the tombs of the Bloodkeep. Once inside, they brought the temple down upon the Doom Slayer. He was then separated from his armor, and his body was entombed in a cursed sarcophagus. The mark of the Doom Slayer was burned upon his crypt, a warning to all of hell that the terror within was never to be freed. There he lies still and evermore in silent suffering. So according to the lore in the Codex, this could be the possible ending for the Dark Ages, which would then connect to the story of Doom 2016, unless if they want to go in a different direction. In Doom 2016, the UIC would construct the Ark, which led to several breakthrough study fields, like the BFG and teleportation. They would then find this tomb and the Doom Slayer. He appeared to be sleeping and could not be woken up. There was also a protective argent barrier around his body, which kept him safe from harm and also in permanent stasis. The Codex also states that when the sarcophagus was being extracted from the tomb, the demons they encountered would defend the tomb with an instinctual ferocity. They knew what was inside, but failed to stop the humans from taking it. And the rest of the story from here is explained in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. So what ending do you think will happen in the Dark Ages? Will it end according to the lore of the Codex, or do you think they will try something different? Tell me in the comment section. We also have names for 3 weapons in the trailer. This comes from Marty and Hugo in a different video. This one is called the Skull Crusher, the next one is called the Accelerator, and the last one is called the Rail Spike. There's an article on GamesRadar.com which mentions why the team chose to revert the game to a more grounded experience compared to Doom Eternal, where the gameplay was focused on a vertical style. Hugo Martin said this: "We couldn't go any higher in the air than Doom Eternal. That was a great experience, but we want each game to stand on its own. If you were an F-22 fighter jet in Doom Eternal, this time around we wanted you to feel like an Abrams tank. It means you're more powerful and grounded. The combat system for new players, those who only got into Doom with the reboot, I think with the Dark Ages, they're going to feel like this is a reimagined combat system. But for longtime fans of this series, people who played the original Doom, you'll see it's really a return to form." Marty also added that the strafing gameplay is coming back. Here's what he said: "You're heavier, more powerful and grounded. We're making strafing to aim a thing again. You'll be weaving between projectiles, just like you did in the original Doom, to deliver that super shotgun blast to the chest. It almost creates this 3-dimensional shoot-'em-up puzzle that you're weaving your way through." They also mention how you might be facing more enemies at once than ever before. Hugo says this: "You'll be killing more demons than you ever have. I think the number of AI on screen is... I don't even think there's a limit at this point. It's crazy. I keep waiting to hear no from the programmers, and they haven't said it this time around. It feels like, tech-wise across the board, we've been empowered to make our best game." The last thing here is a bit more info about the shield saw. Here's what Hugo said: "There's a lot of stuff you can do with the shield. You can block attacks, you can parry projectiles. There are melee weapons you can combo attacks with. You use it to solve problems. You basically exploit weaknesses with the shield in your left hand, and then you hurt things with the guns in your right. It's pretty simple." Alright, so that's all the updates I have for you on Doom: The Dark Ages. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.